of the theory is this belief that you are secretly saving the world from this satanic cult of pedophiles and cannibals. Does that sound like something you are behind? Or
well, I haven't heard that, but is that supposed to be a bad thing?
The existence of tens of thousands of videos featuring little children.
There are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn.
So I think we're about to see something on the level of Epstein, Weinstein to the power of 10.
From members of the royal family to Grammy and Academy Award winners, we're breaking down all the A-list celebrities named in court docs against P. Diddy.
When you're talking about like really elite levels, the name of the game is blackmail. So they want something on you that they can hold over your head so they can basically own you and tell you what to do. And they film it. And then they own you. So that's what runs the whole system, basically. They want compromised people because they're easy to control. It's time that this comes out into the open because we are going to change the way everything works, because at the top levels of wealth, of power, the very top levels, these people are just sick and psycho. Look into the Rothschild family. Do some research. You heard it's cannibals. Yeah, there is cannibalism. That's the higher you go, the more sick it gets. Peterwood has been happening for a very long. Yes, it has. A very, very, very long time. And this is the thing. This is what really hurts about the situation, because a lot of people are kind of born into this. They grow up in it. They are abused. And through the abuse, especially as a child, you can break someone's subconscious mind. If you're not aware of any of this stuff, look into MK Ultra. Oh, Jimmy Savile. Yes, the royal family. Yeah, Jimmy Savile raped and murdered hundreds of kids over the course of 3 decades or longer. No one ever looked into it. And he hung out with the royal family. He was knighted. And the reason I want to talk about Jimmy Savile is because this guy, Mark Thompson, he runs the New York Times. Now, Mark Thompson was head of the BBC for years and years and years. They covered up allegations. They covered up abuse. They let him run rampant, and they just covered it up. So this guy, Mark Thompson, is at BBC, and then he goes over to the New York Times. Now think about it. If someone like that is running a giant media organization, what are they going to say? What are they going to tell you? Are they going to tell you the truth? No. No, they're not going to tell the truth. That's why when people say the news is fake, it's because it's run by these people who are into some very, 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 very sick stuff.
Because one of the things I asked him is, I said, I get it, but I don't get it. The children. You got to, I have such a problem with this. You got to explain this one to me. And he said, well, first of all, you're looking at it the wrong way. I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, they don't define children the way you do. They don't define the world the way you do. The choices that you face are not their choices, right? They look at it completely differently. And I said, well, okay, so how do they look at it? And he said, for them, everything is defined by their one fundamental, all-consuming purpose. I said, which is what? He said, to defeat God, right? Because this is the moment. I mean, for them, it's about the real God. The true gods are them. and Satan there, right? And so he said,
Definitely right.
children are the closest thing on earth to God, because we are created in the image of God. And as you know, from the moment we're created, we haven't had time to be corrupted and to stray. So for them, the younger you are, the closer you are to God, the more pain they can inflict on God. So the more you can make a baby or a small child suffer, the greater your victory over God. And that is the only consideration for them. Outside of that doesn't exist.
This is Edward Alexander Crowley, also known as Aleister Crowley. He styled himself the wickedest man in the world. He believed himself to be the great beast, and he changed his name to Aleister Crowley so it would add up in both English, Hebrew, and Greek Kabbalah as 666. In 1904, Crowley had a communication with an extraterrestrial being named USAR. And this being, through his wife, kind of a channeling type operation, brought forth a book that was called the Book of the Law in 1904. And this book declared that the slain and risen God had stepped off the throne, and that a new God, the crowned and conquering child, was taking his place. He was a brilliant genius. He could play 8 chess games blindfolded. He was an accomplished poet, mountaineer, painter, writer. He had so many Masonic degrees that you could fill up 5 pages of a book with them. This guy was probably the most highly honored Mason in the world. And he began doing rituals to bring forth this crowned and conquering child. And he began to start what he called the cult of the fascinating child. And in doing this, he uncovered, without knowing it, the royal secret of Masonry. And what happened was, a gentleman came knocking at his door after he published a book. And in this book, it was a book of poetry, and in the book he had made an allusion to something. And this guy, his name was Theodore Royce. He was a German occultist and the head of the OTO, the Ordo Templi Orientis, which stands for the Order of Eastern Templars. There's the Knights Templar again. And this Theodore Royce told Crowley that he had given away the greatest secret in occult history. And Crowley said, "What do you mean? I don't even understand it." So the guy promptly initiated him on the spot to the 9th degree of the OTO and then explained the secret to him. And you're about to learn what this secret is. The secret is that as a Mason, you are promised immortality. Where do they get their promise of immortality? Simply, the secret that Crowley uncovered, probably through demonic intervention, is the secret that this immortality is conveyed through tantric sex magic. And the kind of sex magic that we're talking about here, unfortunately, is a sexual violation of a little child. Crowley taught that the way you could live forever was by vampirizing little children sexually. And this, I apologize that this is so horrible, but Masons are doing this. Not all Masons, please understand me. Probably 1 in 100 knows about this. But this is a significant enough problem that I feel compelled to share it with you. This is why the Masons believe that they will live forever. They think every time they defile a little child, they steal some of that child's youth. What happens then is they believe that they are accessing alternate universes, alternate realities where they can become as gods. There is a belief that through this sexual perversion, they can access these tunnels into alternate universes, alternate realities. And the goal of this kind of magic is to find your own universe and become the god over that universe. And then once you're the god of this universe, you can start sucking the energy out of it. And you can use that energy through this child to live forever and ever and ever. I mean, this is such a problem that we are actually, I now know of 5 national support groups that are helping people that are survivors of Masonic ritual abuse.
What is vital to consider is the significance of what occurred after Crowley's death
and who followed these teachings wholly or in part.
Crowley had many followers. He had followers through his magical organization, the OTO, which still exists today. He also had people who were very interested in him, who carried on his tradition. For example, Timothy Leary, who people perceive as a guru, but he was also an illuminate of Thanateros, which is an offshoot of Crowley's kind of OTO and his magical practices. He copied a lot of Crowley's behaviors and what Crowley did. He attacked Christianity. He was a hedonist like Crowley. He visited the Great Pyramid of Cheops, and stayed in there much like Crowley did. He also traveled to Algeria, where Crowley emulated the magical practices or Enochian calls of John Dee and Edward Kelly. He carried Crowley's tarot deck wherever he went, and he actually he wrote a book called Confessions of a Hope Fiend, which is an inversion of two of Crowley's books called Confessions and Diary of a Dope Fiend.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've been an admirer of Aleister Crowley. I think that I'm carrying on much of the work that he started over 100 years ago, and I think the 60s themselves. You know, Crowley said he was in favor of finding your own self and do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law under love. It was a very powerful statement. I'm sorry he isn't around now to appreciate the glories that he started.
L. Ron Hubbard said he was following on his tradition. He actually started his religion or his new Age ideal church, the Church of Scientology, on the day that Crowley died in 1947. These people have a great influence on the world. There was Jack Parsons, who was the head of the Agape Lodge, which was the OTO lodge out in California, and his scribe was actually L. Ron Hubbard. Charles Manson was a member of the Solar Lodge, which is an offshoot of the OTO. So Manson was very knowledgeable about these kind of practices, and he had an immense influence upon the 60s. Alfred Kinsey visited Aleister Crowley's Abbey of Thelema, which was his kind of the inversion of a church that he had in Cefalù, Sicily, and very dark rituals took place there. There were also musical followers: Jimmy Page, David Bowie, Ozzy Osbourne. There's his ideas suffuse J.K. Rowling's books by Harry Potter, and I haven't read all of her books, but her movies and what I've seen, the references to Flood and Sirius, these are all highly occultic references that indicate that she knows quite a bit more than she's telling the public. And these are books and movies that have been seen by billions of people. Ian Fleming was influenced by Crowley. He wrote the James Bond book. So it goes on and on. So they're still out here together. There's a commonly understood reference to Crowley and Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band.
I was going to mention that. Of course, Crowley appears on the cover twice, didn't he?
I think I know just once, but there's also the kind of a story about the intro to Sgt. Pepper's. It says 20 years ago today, Sgt. Pepper taught the band to play, and somebody told me that was a reference to Crowley. It was 20 years ago today that day that Crowley passed away. So 47 was when he died, and I guess the album came out in 67. So and Lennon himself was a known occultist. He would constantly go to occult bookstores in New York City, and had some of his writings, Imagine, and all these other songs and stuff reference a lot of occult subjects. So
Occult doctrines have led to the 1960s counterculture and led countless people down a path that has seen devastating results.
A lot of these bloodlines are Satanist. In fact, the major ones are all Satanists. And by that I mean they are into human sacrifice, human blood drinking, and all that other stuff, sacrifice of children. And it's been going on way back. And people have no problem with the fact that it was going, oh yeah, those ancients used to do that, and the Aztecs and all that stuff. But they can't expand that perception of the possible that it's still going on. It is massively going on. The fact is it was openly going on then it became unacceptable to the population in general, and it's gone on secretly ever since.
Another element of the Rothschilds, they are known for their involvement in a religion called Luciferianism or Satanism. Baroness Philippine Rothschild often wore jewelry that depicts the symbol of Satanism. a horned goat. She even had jewels that simply showed the head of Satan. On this picture we can see Baron Jacob Rothschild posing in front of a famous painting called Satan Calls His Armies Forth from Hell. He poses alongside one of their favorite artists, Marina Abramovich. This lady organizes very strange parties for the elites. Here you see some images of these parties that are called spirit cooking. They basically celebrate the practice of human sacrifice and cannibalism.
Even the owl is a symbol of ancient mystery Babylon. The owl was worshipped by the ancient Egyptians and by the Babylonians. And it's interesting to me that many of the members of the Bohemian Grove have in their homes, as I understand it, small figurines of owls. And I believe they actually worship those owls as a symbol of the deity, the great goddess of Babylon.
They believe themselves to be the sons and daughters of the fallen one, Lucifer. The elite are obsessed with the likes of Aleister Crowley and engage in the disgusting rituals he prescribed, which includes the consumption of bodily fluids and child sacrifice. The ruling so-called elite certainly view themselves as a race apart. But who are they? Typically, the elite come from certain ancient bloodlines. Researcher Fritz Springmeier identified 13 such bloodlines in his book, Bloodlines of the Illuminati. The elite are obsessed with genealogy, many tracing their bloodlines back thousands of years to ancient Sumer and Babylonia. These are the people at the top of the pyramid who fund both sides of wars, spark revolutions, make presidents their puppets, and they are weird. Not just eccentric or odd, but totally inhumanly strange and evil. A common distinguishing theme among elite circles is an inversion of everything. Good is bad, ugliness is beauty, and pain is pleasure. These are all forms of trauma-based mind control, which is almost always done to Illuminati children.
These people are warped by this generational torture that they do to their children. And so they get to you as an early child. You're raped at least once a week when you grow up in a satanic family. You're beaten, you're put into small cages. One of the best rituals that they use to split the mind so they can build altars and form a multiple personality person is when you're 3 years old, they'll put you in a custom-built wrought iron cage and leave you in a room for several days.
Now, wait a minute. How common is this?
This is standard operating procedure.
Generational child abuse has been passed down in their families for hundreds of years. As always, they have the power to never even be questioned. In 2014, an heir to the Illuminati DuPont family confessed to raping his 3-year-old daughter, but was only sentenced to probation because the judge felt he, quote, would not fare well in prison. They are sometimes forced to participate in the abuse or sacrifice of animals to further break down their mind. While the elite do keep masterful works of art hidden away in their private collections, the art they truly fawn over is not really what most would even consider art. In total celebration of all that is grotesque and repulsive, the sick individuals who run our world pay outrageous sums to collect the most disturbing art they can find.
I was reading this morning on ABC News about the Sultan of Oman and other people, buying artwork, buckets of maggots. I told you they love buckets of maggots. Images of dead children and maggots, crystal skulls, formaldehyde, fish tanks with dead cows in them, dressed in gold, Jesus with maggots all over it. See, that's who rules things. That's who runs it. All these elite homes, oh, let's go to the room where it really shows who we are. And that to them, it's so beautiful. Images of demons eating babies. Images of maggots covering everything. Maggots, cans of human feces for millions of dollars apiece. That's their works of art. You see, this is just the front of it. The maggots, the dead kids, the golden calves covered in maggots and crap. This is what they're into.
Take, for example, Washington, D.C. power broker Tony Podesta, brother of John Podesta, former White House chief of staff. His home is filled with disturbing paintings of children being stripped down and tortured. He has a golden statue known as the Arch of Agony, modeled after the posed corpses of serial killer Jeffrey Dahmer's victims. If you don't see the artistic beauty in that, you are obviously an uncultured plebeian. When a cannibal painting was found hanging in John Podesta's Clinton campaign office, his only comment? It's better to be the guy with the fork than the guy on the table. Another so-called artist admired by Tony Podesta and the like is Patricia Piccinini. This woman creates realistic sculptures of absolutely grotesque, lifelike monsters and repulsive human hybrid creatures, often depicted clutching children in disturbing poses.
These people, the yachts, the hookers, the power, it all starts not having the luster anymore. So they pay top dollar at first for the snuff films of children. Big in Europe, big in Russia, just incredible evil. And so that's the thrill.
They get a fiendish thrill out of watching others suffer. The most sought-after high among the elite comes from an extremely rare, yellowish-brown drug obtained by sacrificing a terrified victim and using a hypodermic needle to extract a substance known as adrenochrome from the base of the neck, or in lesser effect by drinking the blood of the sacrificed person. Many Illuminati elite are addicted to the extreme high of human adrenaline, secreted at the height of terror.
I've talked to a lot of Satanists who've told me common themes about what goes on in these rituals. And one of the things that they do is when they're sacrificing somebody, the people with invisible light, the Satanists and the bloodlines, they'll drink the blood because when the terror reaches a certain point in the ritual, a certain adrenaline goes in the blood, which gives these people a high. I mean, sick is not the word.
Cannibalism is another particularly enjoyed practice among the elite, often done in a ritualistic nature. Most shockingly, in his book, Bloodlines of the Illuminati, Fritz Springmeier claims that the flesh of the Illuminati Grand Dame Doris Duke of the notorious Duke family was consumed in a satanic Halloween ritual. What differentiates the elite bloodline from everyone else? Long ago in the ancient cultures to which they trace their heritage, the ancestors of today's hidden rulers pledged themselves and their future generations to the dark force that opposes humanity. Call it Satan, archons, or whatever, and that energy still lives on through their descendants to this day. As one begins to study the lives of the elite, a common denominator is always their allegiance to Luciferian doctrine. It is the key tenet of the Illuminati.
Here's the way they look at it. Here's their metaphor. Adam and Eve were held prisoner in the Garden of Eden by an unjust, cruel, and vindictive God. Lucifer, through his agent Satan, set man free from this garden by giving him the gift of intellect. Through the use of intellect, man will conquer the earth, will conquer nature, and will himself become God. It's taught in every Masonic temple in this land. Every secret brotherhood, every secret society, every mystical temple, every occult organization teaches the Luciferian philosophy.
These rituals are increasingly being done in public on a scale not seen since the days of Stonehenge.
Teaching Satanism in schools sounds like the stuff of horror movies, but a US court ruling on religious freedoms has enabled devil worshippers in Florida to hand out educational material about their beliefs to kids at state schools.
The 10-page Satanic Children's Big Book of Activities features characters named Annabelle and Damien who demonstrate rituals to explain Satanism.
It's on the tapes. I believe Barack Obama got a tape.
Pick it out, read it, and answer.
Public place, you did it. Is this the best or the worst? What do you do?
The best.
Okay, the best. Probably the Obama thing.
John, what's the? Oh God.
Oh God.
I know Jennifer Lopez has multiple tapes. Oh yeah.
I remember this photo of Jennifer Lopez. It was a gym photo she took, and people realized when they zoomed in a little bit, there was a person, seemed to be like a kid or maybe a man, who knows, in the door with their mouths covered, and they look scared. Did we ever get an answer to that? Did we ever get an explanation? I just want to know. Because, yeah, that's, yeah.
Oof. I know Beyonce got a tape. Ooh. I definitely know they probably recycled some old Stevie J and Eve stuff. I know Drake got a tape. I know Rihanna got a tape. I know Chris Brown's on one of them tapes. I know Trey Songz has been like a supporting actor in many freak-off films. Definitely Usher. I think what would shock people are the politicians, and the royals that were on that tape. And I'm still trying to figure out when Harry and Meghan are going to be honest about their freak-off tape. Yeah. I don't think anybody really wants to talk about the fact that the royal family has many times at Diddy party, especially that weirdo uncle.
Now, if Diddy had tapes, the feds have them. That's a lot of blackmail.
All of the details contained in the official court records from a civil suit filed by Epstein accuser Virginia Giuffre against Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's longtime girlfriend and accomplice, who is currently behind bars for sex trafficking. Giuffre reiterated in her now unsealed deposition she was directed to have sex with Britain's Prince Andrew, something he has repeatedly denied. The two later settled a separate sex abuse lawsuit.
Giuffre alleges she was sexually assaulted there and at Epstein's other properties in New York and on an island in the Caribbean, along with dozens of other girls. Despite the fact Giuffre settled her defamation case with Maxwell in 2009, it's taken years to get the court documents and details released. This latest batch is another crucial part of that effort, but her lawyer says there are still thousands of other pages to be unsealed.
It shows you the people that were in his circle and why that's relevant, because all of those people were helping enable the trafficking operation.
Giuffre telling Savannah in 2019,
"How did this happen for so long?"
Sigrid Macaulay, Giuffre's attorney, says her client supports the documents being made public, and they only begin to scratch the surface.
We learn more each time about how this sophisticated trafficking operation happened for so many decades and how many people were involved. It was vast, it was significant, and it harmed literally hundreds of young women.
New civil lawsuits accuse the hip-hop mogul of horrific sexual assault in one case against a 10-year-old boy. Senior investigative correspondent Aaron Katursky here with the details. Good morning, Aaron.
Good morning, George. Sean Combs is already fighting multiple sex assault allegations, each one more disturbing than the next. His latest accuser says he was 10 years old at the time.
This morning, a California man alleges he was 10 years old when Sean Combs sexually assaulted him during a 2005 visit to New York. He was trying to break into the music industry, and his civil lawsuit says his parents left him with a consultant who brought him to meet Combs. The lawsuit says Combs complimented plaintiff on his rapping and told plaintiff that he could make him a star. Then the lawsuit says Combs abruptly pushed plaintiff down and said words to the effect of, You have to do some stuff you don't want to do sometimes before forcing him to perform a sex act. In another new civil lawsuit, a man alleges he was 17 and auditioning for Making the Band when Combs assaulted him under the guise of questioning how he would handle situations involving sexual pressure. The new lawsuits are the latest in a long list of civil claims against the music mogul. An Arizona woman says she took these images of Combs at a 2014 party in his Las Vegas hotel suite where she claimed he sexually assaulted her. And a then 13-year-old girl said Combs attacked her after the VMAs in the year 2000. Combs attended the award show with his then-girlfriend Jennifer Lopez. Combs denies all of it. Each of the lawsuits is filed individually, leaving Combs to fight the accusations in multiple courtrooms. Combs has pleaded not guilty to criminal charges and is being held without bail at the federal jail in Brooklyn.
He is still thought to be worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
But those civil lawsuits could wipe that out in a second.
Ruin it all, for sure.
Aaron Katursky, thanks very much.
There are tens of thousands. Yeah, and it's all with little kids.
There are tens of thousands of videos of Epstein with children or child porn.
A good thing. I mean, if I can help save the world from problems, I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to put myself out there. And we are, actually. We're saving the world from a radical left philosophy that will destroy this country. And when this country is gone, the rest of the world would follow.
Democrats are a satanic pedophile ring and by the deep state.